think the San Francisco trade changed a lot of things. And now Atlanta is in a very interesting position with the fourth pick. So we know the first three picks are going to be quarterbacks. Otherwise, San Francisco wouldn't have gone through all that trouble to move up to number three. I don't believe that San Francisco is taking Mac Jones. I don't get it with Mac Jones, to be honest with you. I'm not like I said, I'm not rooting against anybody. I just don't see it. And I don't understand how Justin Fields all of a sudden got slotted not only under Mac Jones, but also under Zach Wilson. Because Justin Fields was certainly playing against much tougher competition and performing at a higher level all season long and the year before. So how that happened in the time that the season ended until now, who knows? But it seems that the Jets like Zach Wilson more, so he's going to go two. I think Justin Fields is going to go three to San Francisco. So it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Justin Fields. So that leaves obviously Atlanta at number four, who there was a report that came out today that the GM is interested in taking quarterback. I think that's a massive mistake, but I think they should trade out of that spot with someone like Denver or the Patriots. That's a far kind of slide for the Patriots to go up that far for the fourth best quarterback in the draft. But for Denver, I feel like that's a move you kind of have to make. Like, they haven't had a franchise quarterback in a while, and you're in a very, very tough division. Patriots are in a different situation. I think Cam Newton's going to be better in his second year with the team. And I think, if Mac Jones doesn't go, it's in that fourth slot, I think he could fall, because there's a lot of teams in that space that don't need quarterbacks. And there's a lot of high level talent at other positions, receivers, Kyle Pitts, offensive linemen, that are going to go in that space. So to me right now, Atlanta is the key in the top 10 in the draft, because we know the Lions got their guy. Obviously Carolina has their guy now. The Dolphins are sticking with Tua. So you have Denver and, I forget who's picking 10th. Cowboys. So they're obviously not taking the quarterback. So, it's really going to be interesting what happens with Atlanta in the next couple of weeks, if they trade out of that spot or not, or maybe they wait until the draft and see who's taken there. If San Francisco does take Mac Jones, is somebody willing to move up and give them a haul for Justin Fields? So there's a lot that can happen in the next couple of weeks, but I think, my opinion, it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. Atlanta is the key there. What they ended up doing will decide whether that's a quarterback or that's going somewhere else, or if Atlanta ends up taking a quarterback, which I don't think that they need. And then Cincinnati's going to take an offensive lineman, as they should, and they'll go on from there. But because Miami's going to take a skill position player, Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase. What I think is interesting with Atlanta is, I don't think you can take a quarterback at that position at 4 unless it's Trey Lance. Because if you take someone like Justin Fields or even Mac Jones, Atlanta is the kind of place where, look, like, this is an entertainment city. Like, they want some action. And if Matt Ryan is out there not getting it done, which I don't think he's the problem for that team, but if that happens, if at the number 4 pick, you kind of got to be ready to play. And they have to pay Matt Ryan for 2 more years, an exorbitant amount of money. So, like, the type of money that another team is not going to take on. So I don't know how that helps them to take somebody at the number 4 position that's not going to play for 2 years. It's a long time to use on the number 4 pick. If you take somebody in the second round, even late in the first or third, there's not going to be a banging on the table to get him out there. You can let him sit and develop. At number 4, I don't think you can do that.
I think that's you are spot on with Atlanta, having coached in Atlanta. And we had a fan-driven controversy over our quarterbacks in Atlanta that we ended up pretty much having to play the other one because they were booing our quarterback situation. So I still have nightmares. You just brought them back up, like, oh, so visual. And that was the Legends, right? Imagine how they're going to be with the Falcons. And I agree. It's not a Matty Ice problem. Their offense is high powered. They're putting up plenty. Their defense was the problem last year. They falced up many games last year. I mean, it was and ones that shouldn't have been won. The percentages of win were like in the 90s and they still lost them. Like, that's just atrocious to me. So a quarterback's not their problem or their answer. But I do agree that the Broncos need to do something. Mitch and I talked about this last week. I'm like, yeah, you can make all the moves you want, but if you don't have a quarterback, I don't know what you think you're doing. And where do you get that from? I mean, there aren't many options. What, they go for Teddy?
Here's the counterpoint with Atlanta before we get to Denver is that they're at number 4. Like, when's the next time they're going to get to number 4? Because with Matt Ryan, I don't know how many times the next 2-3 years you're going to be this bad, especially with an upgraded coach, in my opinion, on both sides of the football with Arthur Smith and Dean Pease. So they're going to be better this year. I don't see them actually getting back to number 4. They're going to have to put more assets to get that quarterback. So maybe he sits. If it's Trey Lance, maybe they sit. So I think it's really an interesting situation with Atlanta, because I think they could win now if they pick a player that can help them. But at the same time, when are you going to get that quarterback?
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's kind of why I'm like, are we going to stick with Tua?
Right.
We're
Yeah,
not going to have a top 10 pick again. And I didn't see anything spectacular from him last year. Dolphins fans are super mad at me about that, but it's the same mentality. What I would say the difference is Matt Ryan was a league MVP and played in a Super Bowl, and he is, top 10 statistically still, and very capable and extremely expensive, like really expensive. Whereas someone like Tua is not. So, I hear you, but like 2 years, if Matt is done next year, okay, then you can take somebody 4th overall. But 2 years, and who knows, like maybe they keep him after that. It depends on how he plays. Like, I think Matt Ryan has a good 5 years left. So, Matt Ryan is not the problem, to Jen's point, not the problem in Atlanta at all. The problem is on the defensive side. You could trade out of that position at number 4 and get a bunch of picks, because there are teams that are desperate to be picking at number 4, and you can reload, which is what you need to do. So I think it's more of a relevance move to take a quarterback at number 4 than it is a position of need. And like I said, nobody's taking on that contract. So regardless of what you want to do, you're going to pay Matt Ryan for the next 2 years a lot of money, because that's what you gave him, and like that's what he earned. But you're going to pay him that, and the Atlanta Falcons, are going to pay him that. Nobody else is taking on that contract. So I hear you, but like I think that's kind of the risk you got to take if you're Atlanta.